You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. So, on my live stream on YouTube over the weekend, I got a call from a guy about something I was talking about. We're going to get into this in just a moment. And through the conversation I had with this YouTube viewer, we uncovered something that I don't think people know, okay? And I think we uncovered a bit of a scandal, and we'll get into that. Now, I first want to play this clip of Ana Navarro from the new View thing that's going on, their latest little spat, and then I'll talk about this call I got on my YouTube live stream. Now, Ana Navarro on The View is supposed to be a Republican. She claims to be a Republican, and she is. She's in with the Bushes, okay? She's
a rhino, just like them, Republican in name only.
Yeah, and, you know, she's one of these never-Trumpers. She's very tight with Jeb Bush. Her husband is someone that Steve Kane and I know, actually. It's hard to, because he's been involved in Republican politics forever in Florida, and he is one of the closest Jeb Bush people. He used to run the Republican Party of Florida back in the Jeb Bush era.
So that's obviously how they met, through that connection.
Yeah, well...
they just got married like 4 years ago.
Probably. So she is a Bushy times 1,000. But anyway, let's play this clip because it's getting a lot of play, but I want to talk about it, and then we'll talk about this call I got on my live stream. This is Ana Navarro on The View this past Friday talking about the migrants being taken to New York City by Greg Abbott.
Frankly, I think we need to find, and we've dealt with this before. I lived in Miami. I was an immigrant in Miami in the 80s. You'll remember when we had the Mariel boat lift. Yes. 125,000 Cubans came in a matter of 6 months. It puts tremendous stress on a city, on a community, on the social services. They need to be resettled elsewhere.
They need to spread out. This is a massive country.
And it's only going to get worse with global warming and climate change because people can't live in certain parts of this world.
Okay. So now this is an amazing thing. So Greg Abbott has been sending the illegals to New York, I don't know, a year and a half. And I remember when it first started, the press and the Democrats, this is a stunt. It's not going to do any good. It's just a busload. And here we are, however long it's been, a year and a half, as I said. And New York is in a panic. These liberal New Yorkers are flipping out, including the mayor. They don't want them there. And Ana Navarro is in a bit of trouble because what she's really talking about, she says they need to, her and the girl next to her, they want to remove them from New York and relocate them elsewhere, which means put them in concentration camps. If you relocate someone, it's like taking the Indians and putting them on the reservation. It's like taking people that are undesirables and putting them on trains to Poland.
That's what she meant, or did she mean just spreading them out of New York into other areas of the country and populate? I mean, how's that different than what Greg Abbott did? He relocated them to New York. No,
that's not what Greg Abbott is doing. No, it's not what Greg Abbott's doing at all. Greg Abbott's not just relocating people to New York. What Greg Abbott is doing, see, the border states are conservative, right? Mm-hmm. Except for California. And other than California, all these people that are liberal and virtue signaling that they're sanctuary cities don't really deal with it because they're not on the border.
Right.
So he's shipping them there so they can feel what it's like to be on the border, okay? And they don't like it. Now all of a sudden they want to shut down the border, so that's different. What she is saying is round them up, turn in your migrants, if they're hiding in the attic writing diaries, grab them and get them out of New York City and put them somewhere else. That's relocation. That is hurting people up, and that is putting them in places that they don't want to be because they've all chosen to go to New York City. So that's like putting them in concentration camps. Well, so she's in a bit of trouble, and I imagine next week she may have to walk this out back or go on one of those View vacations over this because she said the quiet part out loud even though she's a Republican, but she's a Bush Republican, which means she's a rhino, Republican in name only, or a rat, Republican against Trump. She's talking about relocating undesirable people to other places away from them, and that's segregation too.
Well, I got a couple things out of what she said. I don't like her.
Oh, no, she's a nasty
I thought
person.
It was interesting that she first slipped and said, I was a migrant or immigrant. She does not want people to think she's an illegal, which is very important for her to make that distinction.
Yeah, now let me get into this.
She's not a migrant. They're like the field hands. She's a house slave. She's trying to make that distinction.
So let me get into this call that I got. It was about Ana Navarro on my YouTube live stream over the weekend, because this really blew my mind, what I uncovered through this caller in a quick Google search. Yeah, what you said is right, Kathy. She wants people to know that she didn't come over here walking across the border.
She's not a migrant.
With everything she owns.
They're less than her.
Yeah, in a plastic grocery bag. She's an immigrant. Like she came here under an airplane.
She's better than them. That she made that correction very quickly because she wants people to understand. I'm not a migrant. I don't pick fruit. My family is wealthy and well-to-do, and for her, that's an important distinction to make.
They're a peasant class.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's
so this caller, he calls me on the YouTube live stream and he says, did she come over here on the Mario boat lift in 1989? And I said, you know what? I don't know. I just assumed Ana Navarro was Cuban because she implies that.
Yeah, she does.
And anytime she's talking about this, she implies she's Cuban because she talks about being from Miami. She's Hispanic, and she invokes Mario boat lift comments all the time. So I just assumed she was Cuban because she's Hispanic from Miami. She's always talking about the Mario boat lift. And also, she is a registered Republican, okay? And her husband used to run the Republican Party of Florida. Right. So Cubans are Republican typically. And I did a Google search, which I never did before, and just read her bio on Wikipedia. She is not Cuban. She is an immigrant from Nicaragua. Her father was a high-ranking member of the government, and her family were large landowners in Nicaragua. They were very wealthy. When the communists came in, Contra era and all that, her family, they're very wealthy. They were opposed to the communists because they're landowners, but they legally immigrated with a lot of money to Florida. Mm-hmm. She went to private high school in Florida and a private college. She went to private college as well. So she's a very well-to-do person. But Ana Navarro has been passing as a Cuban because she doesn't want people to think she's from Central or South America.
Well, I would imagine
very bizarre.
If she's from Miami, I would imagine in Miami, and we go to Miami quite a bit. All my doctors are down there, and we go to Miami Beach sometimes. I would imagine in Miami, I could be wrong, that there is a lot of stigma. There's a huge Cuban population, huge. I mean, you're like going to, they call it Little Havana for a reason. The parts of it and Calle Ocho and all that, it's a huge Cuban culture. And they all live there. And for the most part, in fact, my sister's married to a Cuban guy and they will not leave that area. That's where his family is. That's where they're staying. And I would imagine there's a lot of people looking down on people that are not Cuban, that are from Nicaragua, Venezuela, other things. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Well, she does, at least.
It seems to be a status, at least in Miami, to be like, I'm Cuban, and to let people think you're Cuban. Then from Nicaragua might be a country people look down on. And it sounds like she's a little ashamed of being Nicaraguan and of being, wants to make sure you don't think she's a migrant. She's an immigrant. She's very clear on making that distinction. I don't like her. She's a snob. She's in love with herself. And there's only a matter of time before she's let go on that show because you're right. Little things like this are problematic. And Joy Behar she is just a useful idiot. Oh, people can't live places because of climate change. And give me a break. There's a lot of places that are not inhabitable on this earth because just the way the landscape is. I mean, you don't live in the desert. Certain parts of Africa or something, there's no water. You might not want to live there. Like I remember there was a big issue with Ethiopia when we were growing up and all this stuff. Certain parts of the world are just uninhabitable. That's not climate change. That's just the climate. Well, but she's so stupid.
Well, this
Joy Behar, and there's no bigger bigot than her.
This thing on The View. Well, what she said about climate change, I don't know what part of the earth used to be inhabited by people that no longer is because of global warming. I mean,
there's just places that, like you don't live in Antarctica. There's just places you just don't live because that's the way because of the weather.
So back to
it's always been that way.
Back to Ana Navarro. See, her family were wealthy landowners in Nicaragua. In these Latin American countries, they don't have a class system like we have in America, right? In America, I know Mark Levin doesn't like the class system because he says it goes back to Marx and all that. I know it does, but But we have working class, we have poor people, we have middle class, we have upper middle class, we have rich people. In places like where Ana Navarro is from, there's two classes, right? The rich, who are really rich, and peasants. And she views herself as the rich class, and the migrants are peasants. And she doesn't want anyone to think that she's from the peasant class. So what she does is passes as Cuban, which is so strange.
Plus, she wants to put all these migrants, like you said, repopulate them into certain sections, like they did with the Native Americans, giving them reservations and stuff.
That's exactly what she's talking about. And it's so easy to be a sanctuary city supporter when you're in a city far away from the southern border. I know they're close to the northern border, but you don't have to worry about Canadians pouring over to set up lives in this country. And
Biden will do nothing about the border. It's not going to stop under him.
I'm watching a lot of the coverage lately over the last week or so out of New York with the illegals that are there. And Kathy, they are I can't believe how they behave. So the illegals that come here,
it's a totally different world.
They get $2,000 a month. Right? They've got free food, free housing, free medical, free clothing. Their kids get free school. And the way that they carry on up there, I'm not talking about just crime. They, you'll see some of this talked about in the news. They sleep all day, come out at night, have block parties all night with loud music while people are trying to sleep.
They're not assimilating.
No, what they're doing, Kathy, it's not that they're not assimilating. It's they have no respect.
Well, they have no responsibilities
for the. They're very entitled, and I've heard reporters from different news organizations say this, different ones, because the mainstream media are located in New York, and a lot of the migrants are in areas where they live. They're putting them in hotels and such, and the media people on different outlets have all said the same thing. They sleep all day, they have block parties all night, they play music full blast all night in their industry.
Because
and
they don't have to
sleep.
Work. They're given everything. If the migrants and immigrants that came here, like during the Mario boat lift, now some of them were criminals, or like my great grandparents came here from Europe, from Italy. My mom came from Canada. Those are people that come and work.
Well, they had to.
And
they didn't get money.
Assimilate into the American culture, and they adopt the American way of life of working hard and reaping the rewards of that, and being a law-abiding citizen. And taking on American values. These people are given money. They're given everything. There's no incentive for them to work. There's no sense of responsibility. Everything is handed to them. So they got nothing better to do than to sleep all day and party all night. They're like college kids.
This moment on The View was absolutely, it shows you how brilliant Greg Abbott was when he first started shipping migrants. And the thing about it, when Ana Navarro and The View are talking about resettlement camps, resettling, moving them. That's what concentration camps are. Where they're being resettled elsewhere because we need breathing room. Which is what Hitler said. This is a big turning point, and I know I don't know too much about Greg Abbott locally in Texas. I haven't heard from one MAGA person in Texas that likes Greg Abbott.
Yeah, I wonder why.
They feel like about him like we feel about DeSantis. So, and I hear from too many different people from Texas that don't. So do
they tell you why? Do they give you a reason?
I haven't gotten into, but whatever those reasons are, I get it. Okay, and I'm not disagreeing with you. But Greg Abbott has done a really good thing with these migrant buses. And the thing about these migrants, the Democrats say, well, they have a right to be here. And they volunteer to go to these places on buses. They have to sign waivers. They ask them, and they want to go to New York. Now, Biden is trying to tell Greg Abbott that the migrants have to stay in Texas. Well, we have so many loss of freedoms in this country. In the United States, you don't need a damn permit or government permission from the federal government to go from one state to the next. You can go across as many states as you want all day, all night without government permission. We have freedom of the road here.
When you come here as a migrant, okay, and say you come through the border, I don't know why these people want to come, but I guess they get free stuff. And you come through the border and they tell you where to live. They tell you where to go. You don't have a lot of freedom. You can't come here apparently. What if they want to get a job? They don't have the papers. They're not legally here. So they come here and they just live off the government, and they're not like the immigrants of the old days that come and build a business and build a life. They just want to come here and exist and not do anything with the American dream. Who the hell wants that? Sure, it might be maybe a little safer, but from what I've seen, it's not that much safer in these areas where they live now. Well, they're bringing the crime, they're bringing the problems. So
and you know what?
The situation isn't much better.
The Democrats in New York agree with Trump on the southern border. They now want to lock down the southern border.
But they're still going to vote Democrat no matter what.
Yeah,
no matter what.
Because they're stupid.
They'll lie and convince them that they're going to fix it. They'll tell them what they want to hear, but they're never going to fix this. If you're a Democrat and this is an issue that matters to you, you have to stop voting for Democrats, because part of me feels bad, but a big part of me is like, well, screw these people. This is what they voted for, and this is what they're getting. They voted this guy in, they vote blue, and it's destroying their cities, their lives, their towns. You have to vote conservative if you want to stop this influx of illegals coming in. It is worse than ever. Biden and the liberals are never going to put an end to this. This is what they want. This is part of their plan to destroy the middle class, to change the demographics of the country. This is what they want to do. You have to get Trump in there, and I think he will close the border on day one. And I think he should. He talked last night in his speech and talked about all the things he's going to do right away. And I think that I didn't hear all of it, but I think that would be one of the first things he does, is closes that border. He said he can get it under control right away.
At the Iowa event on Friday with Kristi Noem, Trump said that he's going to have...
That's South Dakota.
Or what did I say?
You said Iowa.
Oh, yeah. Because
he was in Iowa today.
Yeah. He said he's going to have the largest deportation in history.
That's right. And he will.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? It'll be easy, because all these people live in the same place. They're all conglomerated into hotels, and you know gymnasiums, school dorms. Now they're all put together.
You know what? This is what
round
happened.
them up.
So Trump puts in the largest deportation ever. It'll be Anna Navarro, The View, and the mayor of New York will be standing in front of the buses to support keeping them here after they've been griping all this year that they should be taken out of the city. We're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, there's a lot more to talk about. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Back after this.
Coffee lovers, have you been on a quest for the ultimate coffee experience? Imagining that perfect cup? Your search is over, thanks to Bean Crazy Coffee. With Bean Crazy Coffee, every sip will feel like a crafted journey. Bean Crazy Coffee have a wide range of handcrafted flavors. You'll journey through organic, low-acid brews and indulge in the heavenly Gordon's Caramel Roll, a tribute steeped in sentiment, dedicated to the owner of Bean Crazy Coffee's father. What sets them apart is that Bean Crazy Coffee isn't just a brand, it's an experience. As a boutique roastery, they pride themselves on their artisanal small batch magic, the art of slow roasting. The process takes the organic bean and turns it into the silkiest, least acidic, most tantalizing coffee you've ever tasted. And for you decaf lovers, their decaf is full of flavor and it's all natural. Are you ready for a brew that's been passionately crafted for true coffee connoisseurs? This is the coffee you've always dreamed of. Visit beancrazy.com and elevate your coffee moments. Order your cup of perfection today. beancrazy.com. Attention craft enthusiasts and gift hunters. Your search for the perfect piece ends at craftbyevovibe.etsy.com, where creativity knows no bounds. At craftbyevovibe.etsy.com, immerse yourself in a wonderland where creativity blossoms and craftsmanship thrives. You'll find everything you're looking for, from unique home decor to personalized treasures that speak to your soul. Are you ready to embark on a journey of artistic discovery? Then visit craftbyevovibe.etsy.com. That's Evo, E-V-O. Craftbyevovibe.etsy.com. And let your imagination take flight. When it comes to fashion and beauty, there's only one brand you need, and that's Seem. C-E-E-E-M. The triple E stand for extraordinary, exquisite, and elegant. Seem isn't just a brand. It's a symbol of luxury, excellence, and style. It's about living life extraordinarily. Whatever you're looking for, they have it. From beauty items including beard care, cosmetic bags, foot, hair, and nail care, makeup, skincare, and so much more. But that's not all. Seem offers a wide range of clothing for men, women, and kids. They also have jewelry, sunglasses, watches, and even special occasion items for Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, and more. Embrace that Friday feeling and start shopping right now online at seem-us.com. C-E-E-E-M. Elevate your fashion, enhance your beauty, and embrace the extraordinary with Seem. Don't miss out and experience the difference. Are you ready to unlock the power of your mind and rediscover true freedom? From author Torrin Matthews comes the book Inside of a Free Mind, available right now on Amazon. Inside of a Free Mind is a self-help poetry book and a quick read that can be read in under 90 minutes. When was the last time you felt truly free? It's easy to lose sight of who we are and the endless possibilities that await us. Our own minds can unintentionally hold us back. Author Torrin Matthews' thought-provoking words will challenge the limits of your mind as the author guides you to break free from the shackles of your own thinking, revealing the strength found within vulnerability. Inside of a Free Mind will inspire you, showing that you're not alone on the journey of life. Order your copy of Inside of a Free Mind from author Torrin Matthews, available on Amazon. It's time to reprogram your mind and embrace the boundless possibilities of life. Available on Amazon. Inside of a Free Mind from author Torrin Matthews. Get your copy right now and embark on a journey of self-discovery and inspiration.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. So, over the weekend, the Proud Boys leader that they locked up, Enrique, talked to the Gateway pundit, and he said all kinds of stuff. Let me read this article to you, and I'm surprised he was able to do this. Listen to this. On Thursday, the Gateway pundit reported that Biden officials had asked the Proud Boys leader to lie about President Trump so that they could indict President Trump. They interviewed Enrique, and he said this. They asked me to lie about President Trump in order to indict him. I told them to pound sand, and because I refused to lie about President Trump, it's cost me 22 years of my life. He told the Gateway pundit that he was sentenced to these 22 years by the judge. He said that the prosecutors and the Department of Justice attempted to coerce him into signing a false statement that would implicate President Trump by swearing that through several degrees of separation and connections, he had communicated with Trump for January 6 plans. See,
they can't make that connection with Trump about January 6th. They haven't been
because
able to
there
do
is
that.
no connection to make.
That's exactly right. It doesn't exist.
And this, as we get closer to, and one thing about him, Enrique, so many. Hey, I was one of them. Is this guy an FBI informant? We talked about this a lot because if you remember with Enrique, this was with him. It's a little strange. Okay. He was not at the January 6th event. In fact, the FBI picked him up, if I remember, 1 or 2 days before January 6th on some gun charge, and he was being held. And I remember at the time, I thought, after January 6th, they picked him up 2 days before and were holding him. And I thought, you know what, he must be an FBI informant. And a lot of people thought this, and they didn't want him to take part in the January 6th events. They pick him up, and he's in holding. He's not there. He hasn't. Informants can't commit crimes. FBI agents can't. There's certain lines they can't cross. They could probably do some minor things, but nothing like that. So I thought, and I'm not alone in this because I know a lot of you did too. Although a lot of people will claim that I never thought that, but no, you did. People talked about this a lot, but I don't think they would put one of their informants in prison for 22 years. So
apparently they pulled him away because they were trying to intimidate him and separate him from the rest of the group and get to him.
For all I know, he was going to try to stop them from doing what they were going to do or something. I don't know. We don't know. But anyway.
First of all, they didn't even go to the Capitol.
Well,
these guys.
he was in FBI custody for 1 or 2 days before the event, so he's got 22
so what is he
years.
getting arrested? What did he go to jail for? He wasn't even at the
They're saying he
Capitol.
plotted. He was a plotter. Whatever.
Seems excessive.
When Trump comes back in his second term, he's gonna be so busy. He's not going to have time for press conferences like the first time because he's got so much to do.
I don't think he'll even bother with the press. I don't think he'll have those kind of press conferences every day like he did when he was president. I think he'll be like, screw those guys. And I agree with him. He shouldn't.
He'll talk to just right side.
He could just communicate on Twitter. He doesn't need the press to communicate with the American people. He could go on Twitter and do a video once a week. He could tweet. He can let everybody know why go through those biased gatekeepers to tell everybody what's going on. I wouldn't have a press conference at all. I screw those guys. All they do is twist and manipulate everything.
Yeah, no doubt.
But he should, on day one, pardon all political prisoners.
Well, there's so many things to do on day one. He's got to pardon all these people that have been harassed by these outlaws in the government, the Trump 19 in Fulton County and all the rest, Peter Navarro and all the rest. But when he's talked about, although he hasn't talked about it in a while, but he has talked about it in rallies about pardoning some, and he always says some of the January 6 prisoners. When he does that, watch the meltdowns. Watch the meltdowns that they have. It's going to flip out the media, the left, the uniparty. But you know what? So what? Who cares? And Enrique is going to be one of the ones that gets a pardon.
Yeah, and I would think so. I was thinking about it last night when I was watching Trump, and I was just thinking about, that saying, life isn't fair. It's so true. I mean, we live in a fallen world, and people are corrupt, and there's pure evil out there. Yeah. And you look at somebody like Trump and everything he's going through, and all he wants to do is make the country great. Mm-hmm. He's not a dangerous guy. He's a good guy. And all he wants to do is make America a strong country. But these liberal communists, that's their biggest fear. They're trying to avoid that. They're trying to do everything. That's what this climate change is all about, to get the world off oil, because oil makes us strong. And he was the one drilling and doing the opposite and making America strong again. Make America strong again. It's a good saying. And they don't want that. They want America weak. This whole thing of transgender in the military and all this gay stuff, this is about making us weak. Mm-hmm. Everything's about weakening us, cutting us off at the knees. And Trump's trying to strengthen America. And what's happening to him is just awful. And we got to pray for him every day. God is in control. He's watching everything. And I believe everything will work out in the end. But what he's going through now, he is so resilient. And I see him giving speeches and going to football games and fraternities and visiting people, keeping his spirits up. He is going to have the craziest year next year. I was thinking about it. He's going to be running for president, doing rallies, and he's also got all these court battles he has to fight, these 4 things going on, 91 convictions, all this stuff. I don't know how a mortal man can do that. Maybe he is Batman. Of course, Batman's mortal. Maybe he's Superman. How can a regular mortal man handle all of this? Have so much going on. I mean, I get a couple things in my life and I get overwhelmed so easily. I curl up in a ball and start crying sometimes if I have 2 or 3 things I can't deal with at once. This guy has so many balls in the air. I don't know how the hell he does it. I really don't.
Well, I'm
sure money helps, but
no, it doesn't. No,
I guess not.
You know what? He's always been rich. Remember when President Trump was 2 years old, his dad had him on the payroll for the Trump company. He made $250,000 a year when he was 2 years old, Donald Trump.
I mean, he is a special kind of guy.
When I watched him at the South Dakota rally on Friday with Kristi Noem, I love that part at the end when he plays the dramatic movie music and then he talks about what's going on.
Yeah, that's a good part.
And I saw him up there and he's talking about all these great things he's going to do and the great ththings he's done and these terrible things going on in the country. And I'm thinking, what are they doing to this poor man, Donald Trump? They got the 4 indictments. They got the mugshot. They have so many charges that if he were convicted he could be sentenced to over 1,000 years in prison. And these people in the media don't care.
I guess that's why God chose him for this particular battle, because he can take it.
And he goes head on. And he spent all weekend campaigning in Iowa, in South Dakota, and they. This Washington class of people, this permanent Washington class of people, they just
They're horrible.
The worst. The worst. You know what I'd like to see President Trump do? He won't do this, but in his second term, I think he should run the country out of Mar-a-Lago and stay out of Washington.
I agree with you.
It's a terrible place.
He should talk to the press, and I think he should just. I agree with you. Stay in Florida, and where it's not hostile, and get out of that horrible
poison
cesspool.
pit.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Who needs it? Screw these people.
Yeah, it's terrible. And if you remember when he was in his first term, Antifa attacked the White House. And not only did they attack the White House, they injured over 80 Secret Service officers in the attack. That's never talked about. What happened to that? Remember when there was one press conference, remember, guys, when they attacked the White House, Antifa attacked the White House at night. And
remember when Brett Kavanaugh, they were trying to bring him in? That is a branch of the government, and they were trying to break down the door during his hearings and stuff. That's not a problem. When he didn't go to jail.
When Antifa attacked the White House, it was at night. The White House went on lockdown. 80 Secret Service men were injured. So, they have a lot of Secret Service that are both uniformed and uniformed. So there was a battle that we've never seen. The press, no one ever talks about it. There's got to be footage of this. We've never seen it. There was a fight at the gates of the White House, around the fences of the White House. The White House was put on lockdown. They turned off all the lights, which they did not even do during the Second World War. They took President Trump, Melania, Barron, and other important people into the bunker underneath the White House. And then what happened? The next day, the media and the left were laughing. He had to run into the bay. The White House was attacked for the first time since
they tried to overtake the government
since the War of 1812, and that was an insurrection, and it's the forgotten insurrection of Antifa, and it's covered up. There was another time.
The liberal media is a disgrace, Brian. They're absolutely a disgrace.
There was another time President Trump was having a press conference in the middle of the day, and something happened that I've never seen before. He's out there talking. And a Secret Service man comes up to him in the middle of the president speaking, which you never see. They interrupt. He goes up, whispers something in his ear, and President Trump says, "I got to go." There was another attack on the White House, and they were so alarmed that the Secret Service took him out of the White House press briefing room to a secure location at the White House in the middle of the day. That's another attack on the White House. Yep. What this guy has gone through is sick. And these things that we're talking about right now are never discussed, never shown. Remember when Rand Paul left the White House and he and his wife were attacked and assaulted by Antifa and BLM, after the RNC convention when they had it at the White House, the nomination thing.
Yep.
So
him and his wife Kelly, I remember
these are attacks on the president. These are insurrections. It's what you say, Kathy. In all these instances, in particular, the one when Antifa attacked the White House at night, they were attempting to overthrow the government and do God knows what to the president. And that's forgotten. If it's ever brought up, the left will say, well, he was antagonizing these people. It's this double standard that is going on. And anytime I see President Trump speak at these rallies, all I think about is what they put this guy through and how they can.
It keeps you up at night thinking about it.
Yeah.
You worry so much for him and
I don't know how
the country.
He does it.
And like I said, maybe all this is happening to expose the evilness of the left. And, God uses people, and you read that throughout the Bible. And maybe Trump is just the vessel to expose this because he can handle it. Because God sees his personality, just like Paul was chosen to spread the word, and he was a Roman and anti-Christian, and then he became converted, or Peter had his job, or Moses, David. People are chosen for different things, Esther, all these people in the Bible throughout history, throughout time. Look at Harriet Tubman. Do you think a normal woman could have done what she did? No, she had a special kind of bravery, and she kept going back and rescuing people, risking getting caught herself. She was enemy number one. Certain people have a special personality in them where they're brave. They're just super brave. They can handle things better than the average person, and they're given jobs and tasks to do. And I'm not saying he's not human, and I'm sure he has his moments where he's just like shaking his head like, geez. But the guy is so resolute and determined to see this through and to expose these people, and we have to never stop supporting him.
Now, I want to
stop being there for him.
I want to thank our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. Thank you all. And if you would like to support the program by becoming a patron, there's a link in the episode description and in every episode description, as well as a link on my website, briancraigshow.com. And patrons have access to exclusive things that we post on our Patreon page, and all videos, commercial-free editions of each podcast episode, and much more. If you click that link, it'll walk you right through it. And one of the perks, if you're a top Patreon supporter, you get a live on-air thank you shout-out on each and every podcast episode. So the names you'll hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Rome, Wisconsin, Mike P., Maria in Texas, Melissa, Richard, David, Heather, Arctic Fox, John, Paulette, and Carlos. These are our top Patreon supporters. Again, there's a link to our Patreon page in the episode description. If you click that link, it'll walk you through everything. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to unlock your child's creativity and imagination? Introducing B-Block's Building Block STEM toy that offers endless possibilities for building and fun. Available online at amazon.com/B-Blocks. That's BEBLOX. With B-Block's Building Block STEM toy, the building adventures are limitless. They're available in 2 sets, 250 pieces and 500 pieces. The more pieces you have, the more you can create. These vibrant and sturdy building tiles come in 8 different colors, allowing your child to explore colors, shapes, and designs in an exciting and fun way. It's a tool for learning development by stimulating creativity. These STEM projects enhance fine motor skills, hand-eye coordination, and even introduce basic geometry, as well as architectural concepts. Whether it's a birthday or any occasion, B-Block's Building Block STEM toy makes a smart gift idea for both boys and girls aged 4 to 12. Don't miss out on this incredible STEM toy that sparks imagination and learning. Go right now to amazon.com/B-Blocks. That's BEBLOX. Amazon.com/B-Blocks. From the imaginative mind of author Johnny Nevermind comes the new book, The Demiurged, a hip-hop conspiracy fable, now available on Amazon. Imagine a world where menace to society collides with the Matrix and Disney Pixar's Soul, all set to the rhythm of hip-hop. From the gritty streets of Pomona, California, to the mystique of the Philippines, journey through a realm of gangs, mysteries, and untold romances. But that's not all. Unveil mind-bending conspiracies, military secrets, and a message so crucial it might just be the wake-up call humanity needs as shadows loom. This novel is a thrilling comic book-paced adventure at first glance, but dig deeper and its horrifying truth will grab your soul. It's a revelation of our ancient adversaries, our world's clandestine resets, and the key to breaking free. This is just the beginning. Book 1 of a 2-part series that promises to uncover humanity's hidden truths and the path to our salvation. Are you ready to embark on the journey? Then order your copy of The Demiurged, a hip-hop conspiracy fable from author Johnny Nevermind. Available on Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, and all major online booksellers. From author Donna Silvera comes a book that's a journey into the mysteries of the end times, now available on Amazon. This is your last warning. For centuries, religions have prophesied the end of days. This must-read book discusses the vivid signs that our world is nearing its destiny. Drawing on the church's authority, the book examines text, apocalyptic visions, and contemporary revelations, connecting history and culture, offering a unique perspective on prophecies, deepening comprehension and relevance. Combining church teachings and prophecies, This Is Your Last Warning is a comprehensive narrative of what's to come. This Is Your Last Warning from author Donna Silvera is available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback. Order your copy right now.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. Okay. So, we've got this big problem in our schools. You see a lot of it on Lives of TikTok with all these wackadoodle teachers doing all kinds of things and everything that's going on. And what they're activists that are brainwashing kids to think all kinds of crazy things. It's not just the teachers, it's the media, the left, and everything else. But there's a video that's, it's going kind of viral on Twitter. I wish it would go super viral because it's really a sad video. There's this kid. He's in California. I'm going to play the audio. And the fires are going on in California, but he's not afraid of the fires. He sees something that he's more afraid of than the fires. And he's so close to the fires, you can see the smoke in the sky, and he's got a mask because of the smoke. He takes the smoke down to share what is more frightening to him than the fires. Listen to this. This is really sad.
I just moved to the suburbs from San Francisco. Everything looks a little bit pale orange because California is on fire. So that's that. But what really makes me feel unsafe here is the vast amount of American flags I see. Like, I walked around like a 3, 4, 5 block radius. And I saw so many American flags, and that makes me feel so unsafe. Like, I'm afraid of the people here.
Okay, so he's not in San Francisco. He moved from San Francisco to the suburbs, but he's still in California. Where exactly in California, we don't know. But I gotta say, a few things about this. There's this new thing with this Gen Z that if they feel uncomfortable or they don't like something, all of a sudden they're unsafe and whatever it is should be removed. Like if there's something they don't like, something they don't want to see, something they don't want to know about or be exposed to, immediately I feel uncomfortable. And if I'm uncomfortable, it should be removed. Yeah. That goes with so many. It's not just the American flag, but I hear that all the time. Isn't that
started
weird?
With the millennials, and these are their children.
We had this happen to us. We a year or two ago, we were at Starbucks, and you had your phone out, and you were taking some pictures and video for my social media at Starbucks, and the manager says, "You're making us uncomfortable."
Yeah,
remember that? We talked about that, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, they don't like to be uncomfortable. I've been uncomfortable many times.
My life is uncomfortable.
I'm uncomfortable right now.
Exactly.
I mean, toughen up. Jimmy Fallon recently, a bunch of 19 or 20 staffers, and I promise you they're all under the age of 40, have put a letter together or complained how toxic it is and this and that. I'm sure he's nicer than Johnny Carson was to work with. And Megyn Kelly talked about on her show how these young people just cannot handle anything tough or anything that makes them feel uncomfortable, like you said, and they have to go public and shame somebody. Let me tell you something. Working on a TV show like that is he's on The Tonight Show. Very, very, very high pressure. And I'm sorry that Jimmy Fallon can't be the lovable, fun guy you think he is 24/7. He has a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and it's okay if he's in a bad mood and if he is not chipper and happy all the time, or if he yells at you something. That's called life, and that's how it is when you're working in the big time.
Yeah. That's
the way it goes. Toughen up. And Megyn Kelly said that. She said she's torn because she said you want to have a culture of happiness, but she's like, these people need to toughen up a little bit.
Well, but
like this kid, they see a flag, an American flag of all things, can you imagine? They feel uncomfortable, unsafe. And it's just incredible to me how they brainwash these children that American flags, it's like a swastika to them now, or the rebel flag. It's just crazy.
Well, something's got to be done about this. There's something going on in the public school system to make kids like this feel uncomfortable when they see American flags. That cannot be in the curriculum. This has got to be the teachers free ranging it on the approved curriculum, because even in California, they don't have curriculum telling you how that the American flag is dangerous. And, I really feel that our generation is like the last generation of Americans. because the millennials are really bad. AOC and Mayor Pete are millennials, but Generation Z are worse. They're anti-American. They think America is Nazi Germany.
But then I see those kids at Iowa, and they weren't like that at all.
Well, that's true.
So but I don't think all the kids are like this, but a big chunk for sure.
And they say things like, and they're so white. Like, okay. Well, we're white. I mean, what are we supposed to do?
Because now if you're white and you have an American flag, you're like a terrorist.
Yeah, exactly.
They really believe
so
that.
We got a lot of problems. Okay, so I saw an article today in Slate, and it's about Ron DeSantis. And here's the headline. The DeSantis campaign rolls out its secret weapon.
I thought Casey was their secret weapon.
No, they've given up on Wall Street, Melania, and
you mean Walmart.
What did I say?
Well, you said Wall Street.
It's been a long day.
It's definitely not Wall Street.
No, she wants to have Wall Street money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Melania is Wall Street Melania.
She's Walmart Melania. That's correct. Walmart Melania.
Yeah.
That's right.
Get it straight.
Yeah, I said Wall Street. Yeah, I did say that, didn't I?
Yes.
So anyway, let me get to this. On Thursday, Politico published an incredibly long, insanely long article about Ron DeSantis's Never Back Down super PAC. Okay. And they do all kinds of things with him that they're probably not supposed to be doing, but they do all these things with him. But the Never Back Down DeSantis PAC, this is their secret weapons. Listen to this. They tried a variety of different messages.
That's for sure.
Messaging ways to advertise DeSantis to potential voters during a surge of outreach using broadcast ads, streaming ads, mailers, etc. Then they used up follow-up polling to determine which had been the most effective. Its conclusion is that its most cost-effective method of persuasion is paying contractors at call centers to text links, ads, and language in these texts like, "We must remain relentless in our fight for freedom," to voters via text message, with chatbots employed to handle the replies. So like if you get a text, you write back, you get a chatbot reply. And then they go on, listen to this. Receiving a secret, this is the secret weapon of DeSantis, right? Receiving a sequence of text messages over the course of 2 weeks made the average voter about 3.5 points more likely to support Ron DeSantis. Bombarding an individual with 10 had more impact than 5. The takeaway about the text message spamming, they'll continue to use them, and to inform a $25 million media campaign planned for September and October in Iowa and New Hampshire. So the secret weapon is they're going to bombard people in Iowa and New Hampshire with spam text from Ron DeSantis.
Yeah, that's going to have the opposite effect.
Yeah,
that's going to make people even more pissed off.
Because
this guy.
they say they get a 3.5. How about like he just be more likable? You know,
that's the problem. He's not.
Everything they're doing is trying to come up with some phony way to make him seem likable and real because he is not.
Well, this is the problem, and that's a horrible idea. But even the
spam texting people.
No, I mean you could have the best idea, and if you don't have a good candidate with zero charisma and zero personality, it doesn't matter what you do. You have to make those connections. And apparently, he's been like living in Iowa. He has visited every county. He's been there for months because their whole thinking is he'll win Iowa in January, and that'll give him the momentum because they always say Iowa decides the winner. The problem is he's been there too long. He's overstayed his welcome, and nobody likes the guy.
That's right.
If he was really, really it's not just about people loving Trump. If DeSantis was really likable and people really responded to him, he would be doing better. I don't think he'd be beating Trump, but he'd certainly be in the 20% area. You know what I mean? He's going down. The longer he's in Iowa, the worse it gets for this guy.
The more they get to know him, the less they like him.
He's just not likable. What do you think it is when people meet him personally? He is like literally going to businesses door to door. People are meeting him and his poll numbers are going down the more people he meets. What do you think it is about him personally, face to face?
I've told you this
that
before.
People don't like. I think it's the height. It's got to be more than the height.
The first thing that happens when they meet Ron DeSantis is there's shock over how short he is. That's one, okay?
He's littler than they think.
Yeah, so that's a shock. And people are like, what? And then he's so wooden and fake. So they get the first encounter is negative because they're like, what? I can't believe how short he is.
Well, he ignores people. I've seen him interacting with people. He's rude.
Yeah, and then he's not likable in person. He's awkward and weird. So then they have a second bad experience.
Right.
There's no good experiences. Listen to this. Then on Friday, the Washington Post had a story. One DeSantis insider who may not be happy with the Never Back Down's work on behalf of Ron DeSantis has leaked out some information. According to anonymous sources, DeSantis has privately complained, expressed regrets, and voiced anger about the job being done by the lead Never Back Down strategist. The article says that Ron DeSantis...
It's all their fault.
Yeah, the article says that Ron DeSantis and other staffers at the DeSantis campaign were annoyed at the Never Back Downs group making headlines by accidentally publicizing a debate strategy memo and being candid at a meeting with potential donors. Yeah. So DeSantis is blaming his failures on the Never Back Down pack of his as opposed to himself.
Yeah, well, that's another problem he has. That's a classic narcissist, somebody who blames everyone else for their faults and has no self-awareness and can't look in the mirror and say, you know what, maybe I'm just an asshole and people just don't like me. Maybe I'm the common denominator here, why nothing is working out. But that's not going to occur to him. He's going to keep firing people, keep blaming people, keep bringing in new people. And when that happens, it's never good for a campaign when there's constant firing and rehiring. Those campaigns never work out because nobody's gelling and making like friendships.
Yeah.
And nobody's working together. You know what I mean? They're not a team. They keep bringing in outsiders, getting rid of people that have been there. And those people that are getting fired, they're going to go to Trump because they want to be in this business and they want to be with the winner. And they're going to go to Trump and say, I worked for DeSantis. He's a schmuck and I got a lot of dirt on him. And Trump will be like, come on board. That's how it works. And you get so many people leaking things about. He must have people that work for him that just hate his guts.
Well, what's going on now is the people that work on his campaign and on his PAC know that it's going to be folding soon, and they want jobs elsewhere. Yeah. So they're starting to reach out and leak things out so they can get jobs elsewhere.
You think so?
And, the thing about DeSantis and his poll numbers, because he was much higher before he started running, and since we're in Florida, we follow DeSantis probably much closer than anybody else. So we picked up on his betrayal of Trump earlier on, but I don't think in the beginning people realized how much he had betrayed Trump, because a lot of times people run just to be vice president, and I think they were giving him the benefit of the doubt on that too. And the more they saw him betray Trump and not stand up for Trump during all these indictments, the indictments have caused Trump, and the mugshot have caused Trump to go up higher and higher in the polls than he's ever been, which is amazing. And Ron DeSantis every time he talks about it in an interview, takes the side of the corrupt prosecutors. So that's also affecting him. But I've said this as soon as this started. Ron DeSantis is unelectable forever.
Yeah.
Forever.
And you were talking on your live stream this morning, reading an article, how his team thinks he can win without winning any states.
Win the nomination.
I don't know how that happens. I've never seen that. How can you win the nomination without winning any state? What is their thought process
There was a top...
That's insane.
There was a top Ron DeSantis campaign person who said that, because they're dealing with these low poll numbers in Iowa, that they believe that Ron DeSantis can win the nomination even if he loses every primary state. So what that means is they think that they got two possibilities that their strategy is running by. That President Trump goes to jail and can't run in the general election, or they have a brokered convention. In a brokered convention...
That's what they're thinking. They have some kind of plan.
In a brokered convention, anyone can get the nomination if the delegates go rogue, which has not happened in the modern era. But Ron DeSantis has burned so many bridges. He has spent over $100 million on this loser campaign.
Yeah, he's done. And nobody's going to give him any money in the future because it's so expensive.
The people that threw money at him that evaporated into nothing and got nothing for it, people spend this money for influence. They're not going to have any influence with a loser.
That's exactly right.
For them to back him in a broker convention would mean even more money, and they're not going to throw more money after him.
With Trump, it's different because we all know that story. But most candidates, when they lose like that, it's really hard for them to get that kind of financial backing. no matter how much people like. The problem is nobody likes this guy.
That's right.
That's the problem. Trump's lovable, likable. Everybody loves this guy. They know he's being railroaded and he deserves another shot at this. But DeSantis, apparently, nobody likes this guy that meets him because the longer he's in Iowa, the worse his poll numbers become. And Trump going to that game and going to that fraternity was just amazing. He went there and threw footballs and hung out with the kids and then went to the game and everything. And all the crowd was going nuts. And you just, those kind of visuals, I don't care if the media doesn't cover it. They're not going to, but you see it on social media. It's seen by millions. And those kinds of visuals, you just can't make that up. That's like totally organic when you go somewhere and the way the crowd reacts, that is not scripted or staged. And DeSantis just sitting there with a look on his face with the governor. Isn't that who he was with? Mm-hmm. The governor. It doesn't matter how many times he hangs out with this woman. He's not going to get it from his friendship with her.
Republicans don't even like the governor, okay? MAGA people don't even like the governor of Iowa.
Another dumb strategy.
And he keeps hanging around with her like she makes it even worse for him.
Well, she's making it worse for herself.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Well, she's a never Trumper.
She should be going around with Trump. Well, I don't understand why he ran. I never will. And I don't understand why he can't see what's happening here right in front of his face that everybody else can see. But he just must live in his own little bubble. It's so weird because he is such a good governor for the most part. There's some battles he's taken on that I don't agree with that I think are a complete waste of time. Like with Disney, I think it's just
by the way,
stupid.
he had a big loss with Disney this last week. He made a secret deal with Disney. He was going after Disney on all these things, and Disney was going after the state of Florida and Ron DeSantis in particular with a lawsuit. And he made some deal with Disney, Ron DeSantis, this last week to get Disney to drop their lawsuit against him in Florida, and they did. So
I didn't know that. What's the deal?
It's very hush-hush. It hasn't really leaked out yet because the press are protecting DeSantis. But DeSantis made some kind of deal with Disney that got Disney to drop their lawsuit against him. So
he basically gave up that fight.
Oh, he lost from Disney months ago, and then he just was humiliated by them again. Now, Biden went to Vietnam, and he made a joke from the Robin Williams movie. It was at night, so he said, "Good evening, Vietnam," while he was in Hanoi, from the Good Morning Vietnam.
Right.
And I don't even know if that's funny in Vietnam, if they're really into movies about the Vietnam War from the American perspective.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a Vietnam War movie.
Yeah.
Great movie.
And the people that won the war are not us, and they are running the country. But anyway, the reason I bring this up.
He's such an idiot.
Yeah, the reason I bring this up, this is such a true statement that I'm going to tell you about Vietnam, okay? There's over 50,000 men who died in Vietnam on that wall in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And we lost that war to the communists. Vietnam is moving. They're more capitalist than we are in many ways.
Isn't that crazy?
And Vietnam is moving towards even being a freer economy and they're still communist, but their economic system is more capitalist than ours in many ways, and they're expanding it.
Yeah.
And it's really frightening. When you look at, we were fighting against communism in Southeast Asia, and now we have communists here running things like AOC and Biden doing these things, and Vietnam wants to be more capitalist. It's hard to even fathom that's the reality, and it's really a disgrace. And Biden, of course, on this world tour of humiliation and embarrassment, every country he goes to, he makes a fool out. He was doing the whisper in Vietnam. And all of that. But it's really
he's another one who's not self-aware.
No.
Who lives in his own bubble and just refuses to, when I say, and Brian's this way too, normal people, when they say something or do something stupid or make big mistakes, you can, look back at your life or look at that and say, geez, and you kind of cringe like, he's not capable of looking at himself and reflecting and being like, everybody's making fun of me. He doubles down more when people give him a hard time for the whispering. He does it more. He's like, F these people. And he's just making it worse for himself. I'm not saying he should always care what people think, but when you're president, you kind of have to in some ways. And it's just weird and creepy. He's weird and creepy. And liberals are starting to turn on him now. I've noticed on CNN, the guy from the Young Turks who's so obnoxious. And you see a lot of more high-profile liberal outlets are really going after him hard. They're really trying to get him to quit and not run again. I don't know who they have to come up through certainly not Kamala. That would be so hilarious if she ran for president. Could you imagine? But I don't know who they have. I don't think Gavin Newsom. I don't know. Maybe he's still waiting in the wings. I don't know of anybody else. But he is not going to stop running. He is going to run. This guy is not going to quit or step down. That is not going to happen because look at the way he acts. The more you tell him how awful he is, the worse he becomes. He just doesn't learn from that. He just doubles down even more. So the more you try to get him to quit, the more resolute he's going to be to stick it out. They're stuck with this guy.
That's right. Now, listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there's a lot more to talk about. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be right back.
Gamers, gaming enthusiasts, and chatters alike. Are you ready for the ultimate gaming community? Then check out Frank and Big Gulp Gaming on YouTube. They aren't just about playing, they're about connecting. If gaming's your passion, this channel is for you. They interact in real time during their live streams and with the comments left on the channel. You can experience the thrill of daily gaming shorts, multiple live streams each week, and a chance to be a part of a community that truly values your voice. Whether you're discussing the latest gaming strategy, sharing a fun anecdote, or even venturing beyond the world of gaming, Frank and Big Gulp are here for it all. Your opinions, your chats, your passion, it all matters because in their community, every voice levels up to the game. Subscribe right now. Frank and Big Gulp Gaming on YouTube. Game on, chat on. Hey coffee lovers, wake up to the aroma of Izzy's Organic Coffee. Izzy's Organic Coffee was founded by coffee lovers who have turned it into a mission, and that's providing you with the world's finest beans, passionately sourced from places like Peru, Honduras, and Colombia. Imagine sipping on delightful flavors like pumpkin spice on a cozy autumn day, the richness of mocha on a chilled morning, or the cool touch of mint during a summer sunset. And for the evening, Izzy's Organic Coffee has the smoothest decaf blends you'll find anywhere. Each bean at Izzy's Organic Coffee tells a story of a small-scale organic farm, a story of the farmer's dedication and their promise to sustainability. When you sip Izzy's Organic Coffee, you're not just tasting coffee, you're experiencing a legacy. Izzy's Organic Coffee isn't just coffee, it's a world where quality, sustainability, and passion brew together. Join the journey one cup at a time and order your fresh brew right now at izzycoffee.com. That's izzycoffee.com. Discover, savor, love. izzycoffee.com. The 80s, MTV reigned supreme, and parachute pants were the height of fashion. If you're a diehard fan of the unforgettable 80s, then visit WeLoveThe80s.com. That's 80s, EIGHTIES. At WeLoveThe80s.com, you'll find incredible discussions like what are the 10 most iconic movies of the 80s? From E.T., Back to the Future, The Breakfast Club, to Die Hard. Is it an action film or a Christmas movie? Explore the intriguing dark side of the 80s. Take a look at the fashion that defined the decade. Neon colors, Michael Jackson's red leather jacket to Don Johnson's Miami Vice suit. And of course the music, like Physical from Olivia Newton-John. Say from Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson. Take On Me from Aha. And Walk Like an Egyptian from the Bangles. Are you ready to relive the magic of the 80s? Then head over to WeLoveThe80s.com. EIGHTIES. Your journey back to the 80s is awaiting you right now at WeLoveThe80s.com. Share the link on all of your social media so your friends can take a trip back in time too. WeLoveThe80s.com. A blast from the past. In every child's heart lies a question, one that shapes the world around them. And that question is the title of the new book from author Divine. Daddy, what is love and what does love look like? Journey with young Ashanti as she sets out to unravel this timeless mystery. From the warmth of morning pancakes to the joys of heartfelt cheers, explore the mosaic of moments that weave the tapestry of love. Daddy, what is love and what does love look like is more than just a children's book. It's a reflection on life's simplest yet most profound emotion seen through a child's curious eyes. With every page, readers will find themselves transported, experiencing love's essence in its purest form. This is a tale perfect for warm cuddles at bedtime or sparkling meaningful conversations in classrooms. Rediscover love and let it echo in every whispered story and shared glance. Order your copy of Daddy, What is Love and What Does Love Look Like from author Divine, available right now on BarnesandNoble.com, Kobo, and Apple Books.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. All right, so we got some news on Chuck Todd finally. Chuck Todd, this weekend was his last time hosting Meet the Press on Sunday. Christian Welker, who's NBC's White House correspondent, will take over, and he's been doing it for 9 years. You know, the days of these Sunday shows being relevant, these Sunday shows came about, Meet the Press and these different shows, was when around the Kennedy era, maybe a little bit before, but it was in that era. Before he was president, a little bit before he was president. TV was new, and they used to have, which I probably still at back then, credible newspaper people on who were newspaper people were considered the intellectuals of these things and the real news, and they would have these newspaper people on Meet the Press, and then they would have Senator Kennedy was running for president or somebody like that on. Yeah. And then these newspapermen would ask them questions. And what that was all about, it's like these editorial boards. Politicians, when they're running for office, will meet with the editorial board of a newspaper and they get interviewed. So what you would have members of different outlets, New York Times, Washington Post, things like that. And these report, and if you go, I'm sure you can find these on YouTube, some of them. And it was like a panel of these very serious newspaper people who would ask questions of the politicians. Sometimes they were running for office, sometimes they were holding office, et cetera, et cetera. And what's happened over the years with these Sunday shows is they've just become infomercials for whatever the Democrat Party agenda was at the time. No one's held accountable unless they're a Republican.
Right.
And they're irrelevant. I cannot remember the last time I watched one of these Sunday shows. What happens sometimes, there'll be something that happens like this, and you'll find out about it on social media or online, and you might talk about it. We might play a clip. But the days of people watching the Sunday shows and them being relevant are long gone.
Well, I also think because back then you didn't have 24-hour conversations about politics in the news and talking heads nonstop. And I think because that's all you have now on CNN, Fox, MSNBC is people talking, talk shows, podcasts. There's so much out there that tuning in on Sunday morning to watch more people talk, it's not special anymore. It's not an anomaly. It's not a new thing. I remember when I was a kid, you know, my dad and my stepmom watched the Today Show every morning at 7 o'clock. They put that on 6 o'clock. Every morning it was on their TV. And on Sundays, my dad would watch all those news programs, Meet the Press, and I think one other one. Every Sunday morning, he'd watch that and then go on with his day. But you didn't have the constant, you know, commentary going on all the time. So you had to tune in to get that fix, to know what was going on in politics, so to speak. You don't need to tune into that anymore to know what's going on. You have Twitter. You have all these online news outlets. Like I said, you have podcasts. You have other news outlets talking, and people go to YouTube now if they want to hear what's, you know, us or the Quartering or Daily Wire, Mark Dice, things like that. They watch who they like at their leisure when they want to, and they you know what, screw it, I'll spend my Sunday with the kids instead of sitting around watching Chuck Todd.
And when these Sunday shows first started, you didn't have access to the politicians. Now.
That's right.
I mean, look,
there was no social media.
You can these politicians, if you tweet or put something on True Social, they'll see it and respond to you sometimes. So back then you didn't have access to people like you do now. So
they're obsolete. Those shows have become obsolete.
But the replacement that Chuck Todd, see, there's something going on. Christian Welker is replacing Chuck Todd. She's the NBC White House correspondent, but they leave a lot out. And there's something about her family are very well connected.
She's very connected.
Kathy and I have talked about this in the past. Christian Welker, who's taking over Meet the Press. When Obama was president, Christian Welker and her parents spent the night in the White House with the Obamas in the residence on Christmas Eve woke up Christmas morning with the Obamas.
That's crazy.
And their daughters were little girls then.
Yeah.
So
those are some connected
so
people.
who wants somebody that's not in your family with your family on Christmas morning with your little kids? That seems strange. So Christian Welker she's bought her way into where she is. She's incredibly connected. And
God, yeah. And
they have her taking over Meet the Press because Obama's running the White House, Obama's running the government, and NBC, MSNBC, and NBC's Meet the Press are an extension of the Democrat Party. Obama wants her there, okay? Everything she has, she's bought her way in. Normal people that are working their way up in media don't spend the night with their parents with a president of the United States and wake up Christmas morning with their little kids opening presents. That is very weird.
Plus, there's a whole movement now to get rid of all white men and shuffle them out of because they're privileged, they're entitled, and they have enough advantages in life. So we're going to get rid of those guys.
Yeah.
And he's liberal, but he's a white guy. So sorry, Chuck. If he was black, Spanish, Asian, maybe he would be able to keep his job. But he has a penis and he's a white dude, and that's it. You're done in media and in entertainment. You watch Star Wars shows. You've been watching Ahsoka on Disney Plus. The whole cast is female. It's like it's
a lesbian show.
That's how it is now with a lot of shows. If you notice that there's no more white guys in leads.
Unless they're stupid or evil.
They've had it too good for too long. A lot of people complained about that with the Barbie movie. I haven't seen that movie though. But so that's the problem is he's a white male, even though he's liberal, and he's out. I mean, they're going to replace him with a woman who's a person of color.
If Chuck Todd,
that's what they're doing.
If Chuck Todd were smart, he would go the Tucker Carlson route. He's got a lot of contacts. He could do what Tucker's doing from the liberal viewpoint, and he could have some success. Now,
what do you think will happen to him? I know Brian Stelter's teaching some class
he'll
at
fade
Harvard
away
or
to
something.
nothingness.
You think so?
Yeah,
you don't think he'll become a consultant? I don't think he'll be on TV. He's just not like a handsome
They'll
guy.
keep him around at NBC for a while.
You think?
Doing things, but he'll be faded out. Okay, so this is an important issue, and it's still playing out, but the governor of New Mexico is suspending the Second Amendment basically. And the NRA is all over this. She suspended Second Amendment rights just by an executive order involving not just concealed weapon permit holders but open carry. And New Mexico's used to be part of the old Wild West.
Oh yeah.
So gun ownership and open carry and concealed carry are big things out there. And she just boom, no, it's over now through an executive order. And what she's doing with this, so let me tell you what's going on with this. This is not just a minor thing. So I know people are almost making a joke out of what this governor did in New Mexico. But what she's Democrat, of course. What's going on out there is a test case. And what they're doing, this is a Democrat test case to see how much they can get away with. And what they're trying to do is make gun ownership. They realize that gun control just won't work. Right? They've been pushing gun control forever.
Yeah.
So they're trying to make it a health issue. Oh, it's dangerous to the public health. And we governors have a lot of power when it comes to the public health because of the lockdown, shutdown era we had a couple years ago. So this is kind of a test run to see how accepting people will be to executive orders from governors clamping down on gun rights, declaring it a health issue.
These people just want complete control.
I know, just leave us
of
alone.
Our life. They can't. It's a sickness. They have a compulsion to control. It will never end. It will never stop. It's a personality defect. I think these people have that they just have this urge to control people, and they're never happy. They're never satiated. As I always say, they're never satisfied. They want to go from one thing to the next. They might win a battle here or there, and then they're on to the next. They just can't leave things alone and let people live their damn lives. They have to constantly boss them around and tell them what to do. They're on a power trip.
Exactly.
They love it.
No, they are. They are. But I would not blow this off as a joke. There's no way this just happened on its own. They tried this health issue with critical race theory a few years ago. They were trying to make racism a health issue and come up with executive orders involving critical race theory and such, declaring it as a health issue. And that was unsuccessful. Now they're going to try it with guns. See, we are in election season, and it's starting up now.
Yep.
And that's when they're going to get really, really crazy and weird, the Democrats. And that's when a lot of these things happen. Now, we also got to talk about Trump in Iowa at the football game and the fraternity house and everything over the weekend, just a little bit. That is a major, major change in the demographic for the Republican Party, okay? When Trump went to that college over the weekend, the college students, both male and female, were turning out to get close to that guy. Every student in fraternity and sorority row came out of their house and tried to get close to President Trump. And they were praising him. They weren't protesting him or yelling at him. I didn't see the sorority sisters out there talking about the Roe v. Wade and my choice, my body. No. None of that.
And the colors of the school, it's like a shade of red. So everybody was in red, which was awesome.
And I've never seen an entire student body at a university show support for a Republican before. Now, there were a few people.
Definitely not. Most of the time when you're that age, you're really not into caring about politicians.
If you are, you're a Democrat because you don't know what's going on.
When I was in college, who was president? Bill Clinton. It went from George Bush to Bill Clinton. And I didn't vote for him, but if he came to FSU, I would have been like, who cares? Most of my friends would have been like,
you're unusual. College kids are,
so?
And
I guess
the college,
I was too busy having fun.
Yeah, the college vote always goes Democrat. That's changed. And there were a few people you've seen in the news that like gave a middle finger to Trump. They were older people. They weren't the college kids.
I saw somebody giving a middle finger to DeSantis.
Oh yeah.
That was hilarious.
Could have been me if I was there, but I wasn't there.
Would you have done that if you were sitting right behind him? What would you have done? You'd have your MAGA hat on.
I would have asked him, if I was there, I would have asked Ron DeSantis to take a selfie with me with my MAGA hat on, see if he asked me to take it off.
But it's amazing. He doesn't have that protection that Trump has.
He has some because
people were sitting right behind him and giving him the finger. I mean, nobody.
That was pretty bad.
Is incredible to me that somebody was sitting right behind him, standing right directly behind him, giving him the middle finger, and nobody on his detail or anybody saw that as a threat or did anything about it.
Well, for the Democrats to lose the college support like they've been doing is devastating. You know, the Democrats have gotten no good news. And for them, Roe v. Wade getting overturned by Trump's a pretty big deal. And to be at a college and have no left-wing college girls out there screaming about their bodies and abortions, I was expecting that. And there was zero. That's true. Activity like
because
that.
Because people that age, abortion is a big issue.
And his visit at the in Iowa at the game over the weekend, you saw it like you've never seen because Brian from Right Side Broadcasting was with Trump all the way.
Yep.
So you were getting the behind the scenes that you normally don't see, and there was none of that. And I thought it was fascinating that the Democrats have lost the college support and the huge numbers they have.
Yep.
And believe me, they're well aware of it.
Why do you think they're going after Trump so hard?
Exactly.
Because they know what's really going on.
Now, listen, everyone, thanks for tuning in. And remember, the Brian Craig Show podcast is on all podcast platforms as well as YouTube. Just search for The Brian Craig Show. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we will talk to you next time.